I think we need to change the way that we vote in this country. Change the standards, change the criteria of who is voting in our country. I think we need to incentivize better men. So, here's my proposal. Women don't vote anymore, period. Oh no, they all hate me. Don't vote for me then. I don't know. If you don't want to be better, then don't vote for me. I think I piss off just about every man too though, so here we go. If you haven't done military service, if you're not married, if you don't have at least 3 kids, if you don't own land, and if you're not at least 35 years old, you don't get to vote either. So, and I know most of you are going, oh, what branch did you serve in? Well, I ain't voting. I ain't voting. I have 2 daughters. I don't own this land. Hell, about the only thing I can check off is I've been married for a while and I'm 38 years old. But I'm also not obtuse enough to know that, you know, I'm barely at replacement level as far as reproductive rate or replacement rate. Here's why each of those things are important. The military, I'll start with the military, because it is a true microcosm of your country, of your fellow Americans. It is where you will inevitably find out that there are stupid, smart, rich, poor, funny and not, douchebags and best friends of all shapes, colors, and sizes. It's just the way it is. Yeah, and if you don't do the military to figure that out, just travel all over the country, and you'll see it. But it's a true microcosm of the people that populate this country, and you'll figure out how to deal with them accordingly. Being married, sacrifice to a spouse, because there is no future without a spouse. There is no future without children, and without a spouse, there is no children. So first, sacrifice to your country, and then sacrifice to a spouse. Then, like I said, 3 kids. Because replacement rate. And if you've sacrificed for your country and you've sacrificed for your spouse, you've been in the military, you're married, you'll figure it out, man. Everybody says, oh, I could never have kids these days. I could never have kids. I could never afford it. I could never do this, or not in these times, or whatever else. Well, then, you're part of the problem. God will make a way. So 3 kids. You sacrificed for your country, you sacrificed for your spouse, you sacrificed for the future. That's your children. And you own land. I don't care how big or small, as long as you got a piece of dirt that says, you got a piece of paper that says, this is my land. Well, there's just something about something being yours that makes you more motivated to fight for it, to defend it. That's why sacrifice to the country and sacrifice for a spouse and sacrifice for your children is so imperative and important to me. Because if you sacrificed for your country, if you sacrificed for your spouse, if you sacrificed for your children, and there's not much you won't do to defend that little tiny piece of dirt that you call yours, that you sacrificed so damn much for. And lastly, you just gotta be 35 years old. And that one, I can only tell you, just takes time. And you can ask most people that are 35 and they'll say, yeah. So there's how you fix the whole, that's how you could incentivize better men. And even, if you didn't incentivize them to want to do those things to vote, the men that did vote would incentivize better trade-offs. Because the men that have done those things, that are those things, they are just better men. And see, I didn't even say that you had to, believe in God. But you should. And that's sacrifice number one. Because without God, there wouldn't be this country to sacrifice for. You wouldn't have the freedom to find the spouse of your choosing to sacrifice for. You wouldn't have all of the privileges that allow Americans to have such the quality of life that they do, eroding as it may be in some ways, and in other ways, I don't know. People think it's a good thing, all this technology bullshit. But you wouldn't have this land to call yours. That's why God's got to be number one. Better with Tedder. Just tell it like it is. No favoritism. No exceptions. I don't get to vote either, folks. But I accept the fact that it would be better. It would be different if every American took those things seriously. But we don't. We don't take those things seriously. We don't take those things seriously, and everybody gets to vote. Everybody gets to have a say in how the future of this nation gets to help chart the course, direct the ship. And I'm sorry, as someone who loves this land, that's a very pretty cardinal. More brown than... That's a cool cardinal. You just stop by to hear my little, soapbox speech about how we need to change voting. Well, yeah, you a handsome dude, but yeah. As much as I love this land, and I love this country, despite the government, I'm also acutely aware of how bankrupt we've become. Emotionally, physically, psychologically, neurologically, financially, and hell, it all started when we decided that we were going to bankrupt ourselves and our children spiritually. When we decided to take God out of our schools, we doomed our nation. Yep. It charts all, not perfectly, there's nothing perfect but Christ, but charts pretty good. Yeah, you take God out of schools, and it won't be too long before you make killing a child legal across the entire damn nation. Hell, and when you do that, then hell, probably about 10 years later, you'll make it cool to just get divorced because the grass is greener on the other side. Not because, you're being abused. Alright, if you're being abused, one, I'll put the man under my shoe for a little while, and if you deem like you want to still be with this man after he's been taught a severe lesson, then that's okay. If he does it again, then he's under the boot permanently. But don't worry. But nah, he ain't gonna run off with the secretary, and you ain't gonna run off with the boss. Y'all gonna stay together and raise those children properly, giving those children the first damn thing that they need. 2 human beings in a household, a male and a female, a mom and a dad. Damn, man. We run off with their secretaries, and then we blame, and then we look around like, why is our country shit? I want to incentivize better men. And so, being well aware of how far the average American has fallen, I think at least until we fix that, 1963, take God out of schools. 1973, we just make it legal to kill a child. 1984, we make no fault divorce a problem. Well, fuck, man, you done fucked. That's an entire generation that you just fucked. An entire generation of human beings that you just fucked. You wanna know what that leads to? Columbine. You know what that leads to? 9/11. You know what that leads to? Oh man, you know what? I've charted this course for the last 15 fucking years, spending most of my waking hours pontificating and thinking about these subjects. And it's the through line, assholes. It's us. Blame the politicians, because They're all shit too. But then you're just pointing at another piece of shit. That's just one piece of shit pointing at another piece of shit. Going, you're shit. That's what I see when I hear people who aren't God-fearing, military-minded, married with 3 children that own land and are at least 35 years of age. Because when they talk about these things, they just talk about them differently. There's a certain give a fuck that they seem to have. They're not too concerned about who's playing on the TV screen today, or what movie's coming out on the theater, or what's the next Taylor Swift CD, or Eminem CD, or what's the latest TikTok challenge. No, they're more concerned with the moral bankruptcy that this nation's facing, the financial bankruptcy that their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren are facing, the geopolitical circus that ought not be it that we are the United States. You see, these men are acutely aware of the things that I'm acutely aware of. And while I haven't, I can't check all of the boxes. Much like I didn't fight the British Empire, I can understand, respect, and appreciate the shoulders that I stand on, and respect those men that are God-fearing, military service, married, 3 kids, landowners, at least 35 years old. If you're a man in America, hell, you ain't gotta be dead in the ground. I stand on your shoulders. And I respect you. That's not to say there aren't things that man who's all those things could do that wouldn't make me go, we gotta have a talk. But that's how I think we could fix voting in America and make America better. Nobody's gonna vote for it, but hell, I'm not voting to make you people happy. That's not my job. My job, nowhere in the motherfucking Constitution does it say that I have to sit there and make you happy. Like, your pursuit of happiness, sure. Yep. That's on you as an individual. My job is to make it possible for you to pursue that happiness. That's my job. My job is to do the dirty work. Who wants to do the dirty work? Nobody. Who would consider doing the dirty work pursuing happiness? This guy. Yep. Maybe it was because I knocked roaches out of my shoes before school, or baled hay, or know what it is to be inside of a septic tank, or be at the bottom of a pit, a 30, 60 foot pit, depending upon the leveler size. You know, there's something to be said about the guy that does the dirty job, though. When you're willing to do the things that nobody else wants to do, That's a pretty good way to make yourself necessary. I'm not what people want. Nope. Just what this country needs. A man that loves his wife, loves his daughters, loves the God that blessed him with all of the above, was 6 years old with my hand over my heart, going, "God bless America," to Lee Greenwood in downtown Columbus, red, white, and boom, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of Americans, all saying the same thing. That was 1991. Now if I want to go downtown Columbus and be surrounded by hundreds of thousands of my fellow Americans, all I gotta do is chant "Free Palestine," or whatever nonsense is the whatever the TikTok of the day is. Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Russia, Taiwan, China. Taylor Swift, Marvel. These things are all just ice cream unless we are actually willing to do the things necessary. Make objective truths again. But, hey, again, don't vote for me. I know you won't. But if you do, it will be better with Tedder. And not because I'm here to make you happy, but because I'm here to do the things that are necessary. To do the dirty work that no one else wants to do. To pick up that can that for decades has been kicked down the road, and we're just looking at it going, hey, there's the future of my great grandchild. But am I going to pick up the can? No. I'll be the apathetic, nihilistic American that's too lazy and cowardice to pick up the can, but will go, no. I'm going to isolate and insulate myself to the best of my ability and hope that grossness never reaches my doorstep. But it will. It will. It will. And your children will see it with their own eyes when you could have done it yourself. And that's why I'm running for president. I want to be able to look my daughters in the eyes, my grandchildren in the eyes, and say, I tried. Because I loved this land, I loved this country, and I loved the American people, despite the government. I respect and appreciate the shoulders that I stand on, and the God who they believed in that made this country possible. And if we just all did this together, that's what it's going to take. All of us together. Dylan Thomas Tedder, Better with Tedder 2028. Y'all be blessed.